BYon, this is COM 201 Persuasive Speech. It is May the 4th, 2018. Okay, there's many reasons why millions of kids all across the country sign up for youth sports every year. Some do it for exercise, or because their friends are doing it, or because their parents say so. But most do it for fun, and some of them try to do it with the hopes of being the next Freddie Freeman, or Serena Williams, or Grayson Allen. So go Duke. I grew up playing baseball. I played from coach pitch all the way up through high school. And the things that I remember learning and continue to learn can't make me help but wonder if Little League didn't play a large role in who I am today. I've been lucky enough to coach my daughter's Little League softball teams, and now I coach my son's Little League baseball teams. So looking back at those memories, experiences I have coaching, make me feel like Little League has shaped me. So I believe that many of life's lessons can be learned at the Little League baseball field. So I want to take a few minutes with you just to tell you about some of the valuable lessons that I learned, some of the things that I'm learning while coaching, and then a few things that I try to pass on to my players as I coach them. I may tell a story or two, might make you laugh, might make you look at me different, but Little League's kind of who I am. So there's many things I learned as a player. One of the first things I learned was at my very first practice, and that was that you can't quit. My mom's told this story 1,000 times. It's been 1,000 different ways, but the best I can remember it is my grandpa Trexler took me to my first baseball practice. They put me out in the infield. He hit me a ground ball, and I missed it. And he hit me in the shin, and I cried. I was only 5. But I ran off the field, and I wanted to quit. Coach Dale came over, told me he was sorry, told me he'd never do it again. But my grandpa Trex was like, look, you can't quit now. Go on back out there and give it another try. So I agreed. I went back out there. They hit me another ground ball. I knocked it down, threw it to first, and the rest is history. The moral of the story is that Grandpa Trexler didn't let me quit. I'm thankful for that because there's a lot of things I learned on the Little League field that I would have been forced to learn who knows where. Little League taught me about teamwork because we can't play the game of baseball with just one person, and all 9 players on the field have a specific role. It taught me about commitment. I have good feeling that my mom was trying to get the point across to me all those years by telling that story over and over again about me wanting to quit. Because I'm sure you've either heard it or you've probably said it, I paid the money so you're playing. But you have a commitment to your team and to your coaches and to yourself to try to get better. And you'll use that same commitment later on down the road with family, friends, and even coworkers. Little League taught me a lot about winning and losing. There's a right way to win, there's a right way to lose. Sportsmanship's always very important at Little League. You don't boast when you win, and you don't hang your head when you lose. You go shake their hand, you congratulate the other team, you tell them they had a good game. I find myself practicing that sometimes when I don't get a promotion at work. I always try to call or text the person that got the promotion and congratulate them because they did earn it. And then finally, the game taught me to play the game of life and baseball with integrity. Not just doing the right thing when no one's looking. That's the definition we normally hear. But your team, your coaches, your family, your coworkers are all going to depend on you to give 100% honest effort all the time. So a few things I've learned about life while coaching. One thing I've never wanted to admit, but I've definitely learned this year, is that girls listen better than boys. It is 100% true. I coached 4 years of Little League softball, and every game those girls went out on the field, I had their undivided attention. The boys I'm coaching this year, you practically have to drag them back on the field between every pitch. They just don't listen. And it brought me back to something when I was in Little League. We took a trip to Atlanta Braves game, and we got to hear the coach, Bobby Cox, give a speech. And he told us something, and I think it applies. He said, in baseball, you're going to have 9 players on your team. 6 of them are going to be able to hit the ball. 7 of them can probably catch the ball good enough to play in the field, but you'll only have 2 players on your team that can listen. And that I think that's true. So, something else that I've learned very interesting is while coaching is that it's surprising how much a child can be influenced by the people around them. As a coach, they're watching me all the time, regardless whether I think they're paying attention or not. So I have to be a good example. I have to have a positive attitude. I have to show good sportsmanship. And it's really important to how I address them because it directly affects their confidence and their self-esteem. And the other thing I've noticed is how much of a role a parent can play. Parents really affect the growth of their child, both in life and in Little League. There is a fine line between being passionate about your child's success and then pushing them too far. I've seen it this year where a child's been pushed so far by his parent that they just literally shut down, and you're not going to get anything else out of it. And then I've learned to expect the unexpected. We all know that anything in life can happen at any time, and it's usually when we least expect it. But these little unexpected surprises can turn into some pretty good memories, because there's nothing like seeing the look on a kid's face when he surprises himself by doing something he didn't think he was going to be able to do, or something he thought he'd never do. We've got a young boy on our team this year. This is his first year playing any kind of sport, so he's a little behind. Little scrawny, red-headed kid that looks about half his age. And it took us about 5 practices to figure out he was throwing with the wrong hand. So after about the first 4 games, he hadn't touched a single ball while hitting. And this past Monday, he foul-tipped one. And he looked over his shoulder out of the batter's box and looked at me and he said, "I almost got that one." And I said, "Yeah, you're going to get the next one." Well, sure enough, he got the next one. He hit a little ground ball to third base, and you should have seen him. He floated to first base with the biggest smile, made it, he was safe, everybody was going crazy. A couple batters later, he made his way around the bases, and he scored a run. And on his way back to the dugout, he come up and he grabbed my leg. He said, "Coach, that was my first home run." I didn't have the heart to correct him. I was too excited for him, seeing how happy he was, seeing how happy his teammates and the parents were for him. So the little moments like that are almost like, your child's first words or their first step, first time they roll over. Those little moments all add up, and you learn to cherish the little moments like that. So as a coach, I try to teach them a little bit extra. They learn about all the stuff I've already talked about, but it's not about hitting and fielding and catching the ball. It's about respect, responsibility, sportsmanship, and other kinds of traits that are going to help you out later on down the road. But I feel like we should teach them as much as we can. And one thing I try to teach some of my kids that are really having a problem is that baseball, like life, is a game of odds. In baseball, a 300 batting average is pretty good. But that means 7 out of 10 times that they hit, they got out. So you're gonna fail a lot more times than you're gonna succeed. The odds in life are stacked against you. And it's not about how many times you succeed or fail, it's about how many times you're able to get back up, dust yourself off, and try again. Another interesting thing, and we always hear it, Little League's supposed to be about fun. Well, the Michigan State University Institute for the Study of Youth Sports did a study, and they found that 7 out of 10 kids have dropped out of organized youth sports by the age of 13. And the number one reason they gave for dropping out is that it's just not fun anymore. So it's not about winning and losing. That's, we learn that stuff along the way. We learn about all this stuff we've talked about. But it really is just about having fun. And if we can keep keep that in their mind, then they usually have fun. So all these lessons, life lessons we learn, we can tie back to the baseball field. And there's so many more that we learn. I'm not going to keep you all night, but I could. We learn these valuable lessons as players. We experience them in life and as coaches, and then we try to pass it on to our players as we coach them. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to encourage you to get involved in Little League or any other youth sports. If you have kids, let your kids try it. They're going to tell you whether they like it or not, but if they're having fun, they're going to like it. And then I'd like for you, if you could volunteer as a coach, as an umpire, work concessions. There's 10,000 things you can do in youth sports. So if you could do that, that'd be great. The lessons you'll learn and the experiences you have will last a lifetime.